stand right there. Oops. Oops. That one is.
No, that's going directly in my camera. I talk
Say testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
I can hear you.
Okay, come on this side.
Yeah.
Turn around to the audience. No. Let me just say testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so we'll put the other side. Is it gonna do that in the other?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Check, check, check. I think you maybe need to be on this side. But you're standing right there, is right in front of the speaker. So you need to be back here. So testing.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
There you go. Yeah, you need to be back up behind here. Otherwise, you're right in front of the speaker. Is he going to be the first one speaking?
No.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. We'll move these if we need to. Fine with me. I haven't filled these things, so but it's on wheels. Move this one out as well. Yes, how are you, Lynn? You too. Yeah.
Okay. Where's Angela?
He's over there.
Okay, tell her we're fixing to start, please. Good morning. And you all look so wonderful out there. Thank you all so very much for coming to this very special, solemn to some people ceremony. We remember just a few years ago, there was an old Joe statue there, monument. Now, today, we will be unveiling the today we are unveiling this historical marker, and it all has to do with people that looked like me. We had a sad, sad past, but today we just thank God that we are bringing some truth to what happened to our forefathers. Recorded is 12 people from the Gainesville community that was lynched in this very city. That was lynched in this very city. I am kind of full today because I am so thrilled that the elected officials, our county commissioners, decided to partner with the EGI to place this historical marker here on the grounds of the Alachua County Courthouse. To the commissioners and former commissioners, we thank you so very much to think this much of bringing truth to what happened to African Americans. There were 12 that's recorded, but I'm sure there were many more that's not recorded in our history. So welcome again to this historical marker unveiling. And before we get started, I would like all the people from our committee, from the Remembrance Project, to please, could you pick that? To please come forward so you can see who they are, all the people who've been working with this project for a long time. Would you all please come forward so people could see who you are? And let's give them a round of applause. And if we can, I would love for somebody to take a picture of this because this is history.
Can we get Brittany out here?
Brittany, come on out.
Brittany in here.
So, if you're taking pictures, please get it back to Dr. Houchin, and she will make sure it's included in our history because this day will never, ever happen again in Alachua County. So these are the people that's been working with us for almost 2 years now, and we have come a long way with the truth part of this, and hopefully we will continue to go on with the reconciliation part of it. Again, thank you, committee, for hard working and putting this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn.
At this time, Ms. Angela Terrell will be coming to us with the Caring and Sharing Learning School Fine Arts students. And thank you all for coming.
Good morning, everyone. We're delighted to be here with you for this very, very special occasion. We will be coming to you with the Negro National Anthem, led by one of our first graders from the Caring and Sharing Learning School. The rest of the teachers and students will join him. Can you take your mic off this off just to sing, okay? Are you ready? Say yes. And he said yes and mic.
Yes. Lift every voice and sing till now the heaven ring, ring with the harmony of liberty. Let it rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it reach out high as the roaring sea. Sing a song full of the hope that the past has taught us. Sing a song full of the faith that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun, how our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Storming the road we trod, the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat had not our weary feet come to the place for which our Father sang. We have come over the blood that the prince has been won. the blessed of the slaughter. Out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the light gleam of the bright stars is cast. God, my weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast brought Thy might, led us into the light. Keep us forever in the past, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the place that God has made. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the word that we forget, leave shadow beneath Thy hands, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land.
All of you come out here and take a bow.
Thank you, Miss Terrell, and our young people today. And I hope they will stay for a little while because they need to know the history. I neglected to acknowledge the young men from Project Manhood. Thank you, young men. You look so good. Thank you, Charlie, for all the things you're doing with our young black boys in our community. Thank you so very much. It's so good to see you. So good to see you. My mayor is here, and Mr. Mayor, please forgive me for not acknowledging you first because you are the mayor of this city. Thank you for working with us. And we have with us as well State Representative Yvonne Hanson. Thank you. We have our County Commissioner, Mary Ellen Wheeler. And I see out in the audience Tina Certain. And I think I saw someone else. David Ariola is here. Commissioner Ariola, thank you for sharing this. And I saw Stacy Scott from the Public Defender's Office. Stacy, where are you? I said, oh, okay. Did I omit any who? Oh, hey, Jess. How are you? Jesse Irby is the, what is it? Clerk of the courts. When you got to go to court and everything, he makes sure everything's there. And if you don't pay your fine, he's the one that's going to get you. Oh, Mary, Commissioner Alford, would you please stand? She's one of the new faces. Thank you so much for coming. At this time, we're going to move forward with our ceremony. We're going to have the invocation by Mr. Carl Smart. Reverend Guiner called just before I left home to say that he had a cough and wasn't feeling good, and I advised him to please stay home.
Let us bow, let us pray. Almighty everlasting God, we bless your holy name, O God. We pause right now at the beginning of this marvelous occasion, O God, of remembrance of our history. We just ask that you bless each and every one, O God, who have come out to participate in this program. We ask that you bless this community of Gainesville and Alachua County and all of its leaders, oh God, and all those who participate, all those who work hard to help make sure that people are safe, they are healthy, and that the quality of life in this community is as you would have it. And we just thank you right now for this day, another day that your hands have made. What a beautiful day it is, and we praise your holy name. We ask you now to be with us throughout this program and to bless the dedication and the unveiling of this historical marker, this marker that commemorates the lynchings that occurred, horrific incidents that occurred, but let us remember them so that we do not repeat any of those kinds of acts again. That we thank you right now, and we pray it all in your mighty name, and all said amen, amen.
Thank you, Reverend Smart, for the invocation, and you will be hearing more from him later on in the program. He's been very instrumental and guiding us along with Commissioner Chuck Chestnut, who's the chair of this committee all over. He was the one who started the committee meetings, and we meet once a month, and we've been several other places. And we would like to thank the other people from the other communities who have done their soil collection and marker dedication. So Chuck, to me, but I'll say Commissioner Chestnut, has been he is the chair of the overall Remembrance Project, and he puts a lot of effort in it. And I told him that we were going to get him out here by 10:30 because he has funerals today. Commissioner, come on.
Good morning. Thank you for coming to this long overdue event. We welcome you to the placement of this historical marker for the lynch victims here in Gainesville, Florida. Alachua County Community Remembrance Project is a community group established in January 2019 and working in partnership with the Equal Justice Initiative in Montgomery, Alabama. During the Jim Crow era, black people were lynched for mere accusations of violating a social custom, engaging in interracial relationships, or committing a crime, even when it was no evidence tying the accused to the offense. Blacks suffered egregious aggressions merely for being black, and those with a voice often faced death. When black people advocated for public education, land ownership, voting rights, and economic independence, they were met with violence from many white people wanting to uphold the current racial hierarchy and social custom. There are accounts of women being raped, beaten, children spat upon, and black men being savagely beaten and killed, and many of those killings were from lynching. Even ministers and community leaders were lynched for resisting mistreatment by many whites. This type of violence and system was accommodated by the courts, law enforcement, and white public officials. In Alachua County, there were 48 known victims of lynching during the Jim Crow era. And the historical marker honors the victims of racial terror lynching in Gainesville, Florida. Again, I want to welcome you and thank you for coming. On behalf of the Alachua County Community Remembrance Project, we thank you for being here for this placement of this historical marker, and may God be with us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Chestnut, for giving us a full detailed history of why we're here today and to remind us of some of the things that happened to us. Every time I think about it, I just get really upset, but it's so good that we are doing what we're doing today. At this time, we will have the occasion by Reverend Carl Smart, Assistant County Manager for Alachua County, Florida. Representative Henson just reminded me that Mr. Smart just got promoted to the Deputy County Manager. Let's give him a hand. That's a big advancement. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fox. Good morning, everyone. I am Carl Smart. I got to get used to saying Deputy County Manager for Alachua County. We're here this morning for the dedication and the unveiling of Gainesville's first historical marker to commemorate the lynchings of black people in this city. I say first because there's a second marker. It's already been fabricated, already delivered, and it will be placed at a highly visible site in this city early next year. So we look forward to that. This is a great occasion because as a city and as a county, we have come a long way, as Commissioner Chestnut mentioned, in acknowledging the racial injustices of the past, while embracing the equity and inclusion of today. This overall effort is part of Alachua County's Truth and Reconciliation Program, which drew out of public debate of the fate of Old Joe. I think you remember Old Joe. It was the Confederate monument that stood right over here for over 100 years, from January 1904 to August 2017. This is a great occasion because it's community driven. The Gainesville subcommittee of the Alachua County Community Remembrance Project will be under the leadership of Ms. Evelyn Fox, is to be commended. You are to be commended for making this a reality today. Gainesville has completed a soil collection ceremony. Many of you may have been here for that. They've also completed last year a racial justice essay contest, and so they're really on the ball. That racial justice essay contest included high school students from all over the city who wrote essays in the competition for scholarships that were provided by EJI. So the Gainesville subcommittee, we certainly commend you. But in addition to Gainesville, there are other subcommittees that are working, doing similar projects to the one you see today. Alachua Newtonsville. I see Vice Mayor Shirley Green Brown is right here. Would you raise your hand, Vice Mayor? She's leadership for Alachua Newtonsville. Also subcommittees in Archer, High Springs, Micanopy, a combined one in Monte Oco, Gordon, Lake Cross, and of course Newberry, which did their historical marker recently, just a few weeks ago in Newberry at the Freddie Womack Park. And also another combined Waldo, Hawthorne, Campville, Rochelle. So all over the county, folks are working toward this type of project. And our partner, I don't want to forget our partner who created the program, who constantly provides us with expertise, and who ensures that the markers are built, properly marked, and delivered on time. The Equal Justice Initiative out of Montgomery, Alabama. Brian Stevenson, who is the founder and the executive director, and we are pleased to have a representative from EJI today, all the way from Montgomery. Miss Brianna Lampkin is here. Would you raise your hand, Brianna? Thank you for being here. You'll hear from her shortly. In addition to EJI, we are fortunate to have local historians here who contribute to this effort, including the late Dr. Patricia Hilliard Nunn, who really got things started with all the research that she did, particularly with the Newberry Six out in Newberry and all. She just was a great lady. Also, the program at the university, the Samuel Proctor program, is very instrumental in doing a lot of this research. I thought I saw Dr. Paul Ortiz here. Where's Dr. Ortiz? In the back. Oh, here. Thank you, Dr. Ortiz, for all you do. And Karen Kirkman, who is a member of the Alachua County Community Remembrance Project and also a historian. I don't know if Ms. Kirkman is here, but she does a lot of work to help with this project. So in closing, the ACCRP, as we call it, focuses on researching and commemorating these horrific events in our county's history so that we can facilitate discussions on racial injustice and racial justice in order to promote healing and reconciliation. These are certainly difficult conversations. We formed a group that's called the Trauma Informed Committee. Ms. Brittany Coleman is here. She may be behind me. She is a counselor, and she's able to help groups deal with this sensitive nature of these horrific events. These are certainly difficult conversations, but we approach them with sensitivity to everybody, to victims and descendants of victims, to victimizers and descendants of victimizers, to everyone that's involved. So this occasion is about starting with the truth so we can move together as a community toward reconciliation. So thank you all for being a part of this great occasion.
Thank you, Reverend Smart, for that beautiful occasion. Now we know why we are actually here today, and we thank you. And I think we would be remiss if we do not. Trisha's not here with us today, Dr. Tricia Hill Nunn, but her husband Ken is here. Ken, that's Trisha's husband, and he's at all the programs that we have. I think he's been to almost everyone. So we are keeping Trisha's legacy alive. We can't do all the things that she did because she was a phenomenal woman and a phenomenal historian. But certainly, we will not let her work die. Thank you, Ken, for being here with us. At this time, we will have a presentation by the Caring and Sharing Learning Fine Arts students.
I'm back again representing Caring and Sharing Learning School, where the founders are Dr. Simon and Ms. Verna Johnson, and our principal is Mr. Curtis Peterson, a school where every kid is a success story. As we come to you today from our after-school fine arts dance program that is directed by Ms. Lois Waters, they're going to do a presentation that's very befitting for today. It comes from the movie Harriet, and it's Stan, and it says, one day, it'll all be ours. So for those we are remembering today, one day in that glorious day, they will get theirs. So let's watch and enjoy Caring and Learning School's Fine Arts Dance Team from the Fine Arts After School program. Ms. Waters, take it away.
Come on back, peaceful.
Whoa, easy now.
I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up. Take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in
You have made it 100 miles to freedom. Would you like to pick a new name to mark your freedom?
the morning before the sun begins to shine. Gonna start moving towards that separating line. I'm waiting down you know I gotta lay down and I don't mind if I lose and blood on the way to salvation. And I'll fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on.
Harriet, welcome to the Underground Railroad.
And I know what's around the bend might be hard to face 'cause I'm alone. And I just might fail, but I know I'll try. Shine stars will stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new
How beautiful. Thank you, caring and sharing. Thank you. Wonderful. That was just a beautiful. The song have deep meanings. It said we have to stand up, and we're hoping that you will stand up with us, because the fight is not over yet, but thank God we are progressing. At this time, we will bring to you my friend, and she represents us well in Tallahassee, Representative Yvonne Henson. Yvonne, thank you.
Well, good morning. I mean, my soul was just stirred. I don't know about yours. I don't know if you know that song, but it just stirs my soul. That song is from the new movie Harriet Tubman, the new rendition of Harriet Tubman. I don't know if you know that. And oh my God, when they sing it in church, it just stirs me up, and it just stirred me up right then. I almost wanted to shout. Let's give those kids another round of applause, will you? They really moved that song in their own souls. They did a good job. Now let me get back to my task at hand. So, as Ms. Fox said, I am Yvonne Henson, your state representative. I represent the incredible communities of Alachua and Marion counties in parts of Alachua, parts of Marion. So I'm incredibly proud of this area. I work every day to represent and serve you well. I want to really thank the organizers of this event for inviting me to make remarks and commend the other speakers. Have they not done a provocative job bringing forth the truth of today? Let's give them a round of applause as well. It's an incredible honor to be with you. The work this collaborative has done in reconciliation and redemption is beyond remarkable. You have taken extremely uncomfortable issues and confronted them with dignity, respect, sensitivity, and rawness, the raw truth. And like everyone else said, I would be remiss if I didn't pay tribute to the bold and courageous work done years ago by the remarkable Patricia Hilliard. She literally caught my attention in her early work, verifying and doing all the work of finding these the people who have been lynched and named. And let me just tell you, this is not on script, it's just coming out of me for some reason. When I had my only son, his father named him after his grandfather, and his name was Henry Henson. And I didn't want my child named Henry. I didn't know the significance of it. I wanted a better name, a more, and then he told me the story of his grandfather who was lynched. And so it kind of gotten me engaged. And when I saw Patricia Hilliard's first set of research, I didn't know her. I had just come home from being retired. I read her story in the Gainesville Sun, and somehow it just stirred my soul, and I got hooked, disguised as anti-riots, anti-voting laws disguised as voting security, anti-trans laws, anti-social media, anti-black history disguised as critical race theory, and anti-NCAA. I don't get the NCAA. Anti-NCAA. Makes no sense. And the biggest crime of all, anti-local control, with almost 13 preemptions, some with hefty fines against cities who disobey. Am I right, Mr. Mayor? As a nation, we declare that all men are created equal, but do we really mean it? Silence in the face of racism and hate is complicity. We must unify and revolt in protest to these radical changes. Build bridges with our neighbors, not walls of division. Every day we must decide that we're going to root out hate from our communities. Make it uncomfortable for hate to live here. Not just from your community. Yes, please give that a clap. Make it uncomfortable for hate to live here. We need to do it not only here where we live, and it looks like we're doing a great job, but we need to do it across this state and indeed across this nation. The GOP has been in control of Florida almost 3 decades, and I'm just gonna say, off script, I helped bring civil rights to this country in the 60s, and it appears they're peeling everything we accomplished back like an onion. They're peeling it back. When is enough gonna be enough? Now 2022 is coming, y'all. We have an incredible opportunity to fight for the causes we believe in. Do we have enough people willing to mount up and work to change the majority in the Florida legislature? When are these laws going to make you sick enough to get up and do something? I'm 73, and I ain't tired yet. We got to join hands across this state. We've got to make our voices heard, make every word competitive, top to bottom of the ballot. Red districts, don't be scared. Blue districts, House and Senate. Lord knows we need a new compassionate for the people, not corporations governor. Did you see what he just said? We must organize now in order to build a better future we all long for. In 2022, we have a choice, a moment in time, an opportunity to make real change happen. But that work has to start now. I don't know what we're waiting for. We need to start now. The organizing needs to start now. This redemption is only the beginning. God said, go. We need to get up and go and do this work. Well, thank you for having me. I hope I haven't angered you. I hope I made you ready to get up and get to work. Thank you so much.
Well, Representative Henson, you fired us up, and we are ready to go. Are you fired up? Are you fired up? Okay, and we're ready to go. At this time, thank you. To me, she's Yvonne, but when I'm in public, I'll call her representative. Thank you for a very passionate speech. I'll call it a speech. Thank you so much. And we are ready to go. Change has got to come. And we could look around today and in the last year that change is coming in the city of Gainesville. Change is coming in Alachua County. We've had many changes, but we have a whole bunch more to go. So let us stay fired up and ready to go. At this time, we will bring to your front the mayor of this wonderful city of Gainesville, Florida, Mayor Lauren Poe.
Hey, good morning, President Fox, Chair Chestnut. Thank you for bringing us together for this important occasion. I also would like to acknowledge our new interim city manager, Cynthia Curry. Ms. Curry, can you wave so people know who you are? Thank you for joining us today. And Bree from EJI, it's so nice to have you back in Gainesville. Thank you for taking the time and making the trip down here. EJI's support and encouragement throughout this process has been remarkable, and it's just so meaningful to have you back here. And so it's my privilege to be here today to read this proclamation on behalf of all of our neighbors here in Gainesville. Progress does not equal accomplishment. We know that the work is still ahead of us, and it will be hard and it will be uncomfortable, but we are in such a better place than we were just a few years ago. And I think it has allowed us all to think of the possibility of what true justice looks like, what true reconciliation looks like. And so for all of the folks on the Remembrance Project that have worked so hard, thank you for getting us to this point today. So on behalf of all of our neighbors, whereas the era of Reconstruction began in the South in 1865, bringing with it hope for equality and opportunity for the formerly enslaved people living in and around Gainesville. And whereas freed black people advocated for voting rights, public education, land ownership, economic independence, participation in politics, and equal justice, making Gainesville a hub for black organizing. And whereas white Southerners in Gainesville and across the South responded to the change in racial hierarchy by trying to reestablish white supremacy through intimidation and racial terror lynchings, accommodated by courts, law enforcement, and other white officials who excluded blacks from juries, seized black-owned land, suppressed black voting rights, and either ignored or supported mob violence. And whereas Florida had the highest per capita lynching rate in the United States, and 8 documented lynchings of black people occurred in Gainesville during the Reconstruction era. And whereas the names of all those lynched in Gainesville may never be known, but we acknowledge the racial terror murders of the following black people during the Reconstruction era between 1865 and 1876. Harry Franklin in 1868, Mr. Stevens in 1868, an unnamed person in 1870, Christopher Cummings, 1870, Henry Washington, 1871, Alexander Morris, 1871, Sandy Haycock, 1871, and Eli in 1874. Now, therefore, I, Lauren Poe, by the authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Gainesville, do hereby proclaim that the city of Gainesville acknowledges the truth of racial terror lynchings in Gainesville during the Reconstruction era. The citizens and public officials of Gainesville failed in their basic responsibilities to safeguard fellow citizens, to uphold the rule of law, and to offer equal justice to each individual. Lives were taken in brutal, vigilante fashion. Families were left to grieve without hope of justice, and communities of color were traumatized by these examples of race-based violence, a trauma that was and still is generational. On behalf of the city of Gainesville, I offer our deepest and sincerest apology for such racial terror lynchings that they ever happened in our city, and we are truly sorry. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the official seal of the city of Gainesville on this day of October 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for apologizing to us. That was very, very important. Thank you. Thank you so much. At this time, we're going to have the Vice Chair of the Alachua County Commission, Ms. Mary Ellen Wheeler.
Thank you. Thank you, darling. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of our chair, Ken Cornell, and the Alachua County Commission, I want to congratulate the efforts of this community towards this great movement that we have seen culminated here today with the plaque unveiling. I got to say, too, Yvonne, she's amazing. She's a teacher. She's a former teacher like I am, and you can kind of tell from that passion in her voice. And she's running for office again next year, you guys. She's got signature cards down here, just saying. But anyway, I want to say that it's to be a part of this commission. I'm 70. So we 70-year-olds have still got a lot to give to our community and are prepared to do that. And I'm excited to be a part of the team that's actually seeing some progress from the days back in the 60s and 70s that we started, and somehow we just weren't able to get it through. So now that we're in our 70s, it will be very nice to be able to make some progress, though it's not totally done. We can at least talk to our grandchildren now about what's real. No more secrets. And I think that's the big beauty of what this whole movement is. We can look each other squarely in the eye now. No secrets anymore. And we can communicate honestly and with compassion. And I think that's the next step forward. Yvonne, going to Tallahassee, we've got to be able to educate our children. Watching these kids here, as educators, we get ourselves excited about seeing the next generation. And Miss Bree, you're part of that generation we've taught too, and we're excited to see you out doing the work. that we knew you could as little child. You know, we knew you guys had that in you. And this is the hope of our next generation of children, that we educate them honestly and with compassion. And I think that's the next step in all of this, is that now that we have busted this thing open and that we have broken the code of silence, that we can talk about these things honestly, but move forward with the education that we know is required of our children, of our community, in order to actually knit this fabric of the country together, particularly in our county. We may not be able to do much about the country, but we can certainly do the work in our county, and we've obviously proven that we can do the work. And I look forward as a county commissioner to make sure that we keep the momentum at full strength and full power. And with our representative in Tallahassee, if there's anything we can do locally to make this happen, we want to make sure that our children are properly educated and that we are doing that with compassion and honesty. Thank you guys so much for coming and letting me be a part of this event.
Thank you, Vice Chair Wheeler. We appreciate your wonderful remarks. At this time, we were going to bring the lady all the way from Montgomery, Alabama, Miss Bree Lumpkin. Let's give her a hand for sharing this day with us.
Good morning, everyone. I am so pleased to be here. It's always such a pleasure to come to Alachua County, and to be here in Gainesville with you all on this really momentous day is very, very special. I would also like to begin by acknowledging the incredible work of Dr. Patricia Hillard Nunn, her work that she did here in this community to start this conversation, a very uncomfortable conversation, and a conversation that a lot of people didn't want to have. And her tenacity and brilliance are part of the reason why we're here today. So if we could just acknowledge her, that would be wonderful. I also want to thank all the people that have put so much work into making this happen and continue to do the work. As you heard from Mr. Smart, there are a lot of subcommittees in Alachua, and all of them are doing a lot of work. We have the Community Remembrance Project at EJI, and it centers around the community. If you don't have this kind of buy-in from people in the community, it just doesn't happen. You know, there's nothing that we can do to force people in counties and cities to do this work. It has to come, you know, authentically, and we have to have that buy-in. So I just want to thank all of the people. I definitely don't want to leave anyone out, so I don't want to call names, but I want to thank all of the folks who are working on this, the subcommittee chairs, the members who are showing up to meetings, planning events like this, planning the soil collection events, working on the essay contests, working to craft the language for these markers. It is all extremely important. And I will call just a few names. Ms. Fox, thank you for your work with the Gainesville Subcommittee. Again, without that work, we wouldn't be here today. The Alachua County Community Remembrance Project liaisons that work with us at EJI, that hop on calls with us, you know, every month, sometimes more, in order to ensure that these things are organized and we kind of have a read on what's happening in the subcommittees. So I'd like to thank Carl Smart, Jackie Davis, and Dr. Deidre Houchin. You all have been fantastic partners in this, and we could not have made this happen without you. And also a very special thank you to Commissioner Chestnut for all of your work. So I shared with Jackie earlier, I said, I'm just gonna get up there and say a couple words because everyone already knows what EJI does, and she reminded me there may be some people who don't know. So I'll talk really briefly about what we do at EJI in Montgomery, Alabama, and kind of how it led to the work that we're doing here today. EJI is a nonprofit law office located in Montgomery, Alabama. It was founded in 1989 by our current executive director, Brian Stevenson. a really phenomenal and passionate lawyer who saw that there was a need for people to be represented on Alabama's death row. At that time, about 25% of all executions that were happening in the nation were happening in Alabama. And so he went there with a very small team to start doing work on behalf of people who needed representation, most of whom were poor, could not afford proper representation. We don't have a statewide, state-funded public defender system in Alabama. We still don't. And so the need was really there. And so Mr. Stevenson and the team went with the initial mandate to represent anyone on Alabama's death row that needed that representation. And we started with federal funding, and several years later had to transition to a
make up for the centuries that black people did the work for meager or no pay on our behalf? No, but it was a gesture. And we all have to make a whole lot more gestures, including calling out racism wherever we see it. We have to name it. So it's not that white people don't know. We'd like to know how to help you raise your young children and adults so they feel protected. But I'm living proof that that's really, really hard. We have to work harder at it. We must never turn away. So every African American has been made to feel at some point in their life bad about the color of their skin by remarks made by a white person. So whenever we hear a racist slur, whenever we hear an inkling of hatred, we must speak back. We must acknowledge that the colors of your skin are beautiful and that it has been used as a way to shame you. I'll never be able to explain except to acknowledge that perhaps underneath it all is jealousy. So we are here today as part of the long process of recognizing our humanity in each other. We can't know now what all of the actions that will be part of this process will be, but we've made strides over the past 5 years. The Supervisor of Elections office was named for Josiah T. Walls. He was forced out of office and reviled because of his race, and he kept running and winning elections time after time. We have to emulate his stamina. In 2017, Old Joe, with a shameful plaque to the martyrs of the Confederacy who died in defense of the right, that came down. And there was not civic violence. There was a lot of heated discussion, and our commissions listened to everybody with respect, and in response spoke the truth. In 2018, the Alachua County Commission laid out a path for truth and reconciliation, and we are on it. And they established the committee that's kept working through COVID and has brought us here. The causes for shame that motivate our being here today are many. This is our community persevering in the very difficult process of atonement. The post-construction state historical marker is an important step for us all. And eventually, we'll be able to claim the duplicate concrete monument from the Equal Justice Initiative. And that will be a giant step. Each and every person who has a heart and reads the name of all those people lynched in Alachua County will be humbled by the horror. These emotions will be the baby steps that help sustain movement in the right direction. And of course, we all know that not everyone has a heart. The merchants of chaos sow race fear in their greedy scrambles for power. They want us to quit. We will not quit. We will acknowledge the sins of the past. They are almost too painful to name, which is why we must say them. I do not know how my biological ancestors may have acted to build the legacy of suffering that African Americans received as your collective heritage. If my ancestors were not slave owners, rapists, or thieves with the establishment protecting them, I consider that a mercy, but it's not a pass. My father came home from World War II and got a VA loan to buy a house. The opportunity to create generational wealth was denied to African Americans who served to defeat the Nazis, who had prepared plans on how to divide the United States into territories that supported white supremacy. The true mercy is that I know my ancestors in spirit stood with you, because this process of truth and reconciliation feels to me like water to the parched. No single one of us can make things right, and things won't come right unless every single one of us tries. So thank you for accepting me here today. We can recognize, regret, resolve, and continue the march that bends the arc of progress toward justice. So Hutch is the one who always says, when something difficult needs doing, how? Let's make a plan. He really wishes he could be here today. After the ceremony, when we filled the jars, he said, this was a wonderful ceremony that covered so much important territory. But a white person should have stepped up and acknowledged and apologized. A white person. The clouds are white. Skin tones are not. We are all shades of brown. But the terrible truth is that the difference in skin tones mattered grievously. And I am so sorry.
Thank you, Meg. I don't think Hutch would have been so thorough and compassionate. He is, but I think you did a better job. Thank you so much, Meg. Don't tell Hutch that. Okay, well, we're getting to the part of the program. Dr. Hutchins, would you come forward? And I would like for Ken Nunn to come with us, because I think the words on the marker, I think your wife, Tricia, helped to craft it. Am I correct? So the words on this marker was done by Dr. Patricia Hill Nunn and Dr. Paul Ortiz and I think Karen Kirkman. And EGI, everything we do, EJI, everything that we do, we have to send it to Bree for approval, and they tweak things and send it back to us. And thank you so much to Jackie Davis, who has been stand up, Jackie. You deserve a round of applause.